Entropy versus order. Let's talk about the turtle position. Your role is one of keeping your chest to your partner's back. The role of the bottom person is to have separation between chest and back. So this is a little more, it's not so technical, it's a little more conceptual, but I think it's gonna be helpful for you when you're working from turtle position, which is something that a lot of people don't spend a lot of time on. But whether top or bottom, this is something to keep in mind. Generally speaking, when we're playing a turtle position, my partner is down here in this spot. I have just one major goal, right? My major goal, there are a couple of other goals, but like one major goal is to keep this chest to back connection, okay? If I can get chest to back connection on him, and then if I'm able to keep him between my knees, then you've got all sorts of ways of using this connection to convert to strangles and other sorts of attacks on your partner's back. You can go from a place where you're both belly down to kind of in your most classic kind of variation is kind of a shoulder roll here, where you split your partner, take them down, and then look to put hooks inside, okay? But you've got all other sorts of controls. It's not just backhand and arm from here. Sometimes you have a chest lock, this sort of connection. You can have your back connected to your partner's, your chest connected to your partner's lower back here. You can switch sides, you can break your partner down. But generally, when you're on the top, your role is one of keeping your chest to your partner's back. So contrast that with the role of the bottom person. The role of the bottom person is to have separation between chest and back. So for instance, if I have my hands are not locked, and Robin takes this arm and creates a frame and just sits out on his side, now he's able to separate his back from my chest, and it's much more difficult for me to gain that dominant position and continue to attack. Why is this, what does entropy and order have to do with this? Well, the process of disconnection is much more chaotic, and it's much less organized, and it's much more scrambly than my job on the top, which is to connect chest to back. Connecting chest to back, I just kind of have one thing that I need to do. Now, I may have a lot of positions I can do it from. I may have different hand positions and leg positions, but I have kind of one major goal, right? And that goal is very directed. On the other hand, when Robin's down, there are a million different ways for him to disconnect his back from my chest, okay? He could stand up. We're here. He could stand up and move away. He could sit through the guard the way that he just did. He could hit a shoulder roll. That's a form of disconnection. He could hit a shoulder roll on the opposite side, trapping my leg as he goes through here and end up here and separate that way. He could be totally disconnected from me. So there are so many more ways for this guy, the guy in this position, person in this position, to get disconnected than there are for me to get connected. As a result, there's kind of a scrambly quality to this top position, to this exchange. So the role of the top person is much more linear, okay? It's much more direct. The role of the bottom person is much more chaotic. It's a little bit less stable. So how does that translate to you for the training? Well, it means that when you're on the bottom, motion and movement tend to create a greater separation. And so if you can combine motion and movement on the bottom with your escapes, you're gonna have a wide variety of ways to move away from your partner. I'm not saying you can't systematize it. People certainly have, and there are good and bad ways of doing this, okay? There are good times and bad times to do a shoulder roll. There are good times and bad times to stand up, and there's a way of understanding. I'm not saying there's no system, but I am saying that when you're looking to attack the back and get chest to back connection, there are fewer ways to do that than there are for this guy on the bottom to be mobile and moving. So generally speaking, when you're in this position, the big takeaway for training is Robin wants to be moving. He wants to be mobile. He wants to be looking to create separation. Maybe it's moving his hips away. Maybe it's level changing. Maybe it's rolling over the shoulder. My job is a little trickier. I have got only one thing I've got to do. That's just get that connection, okay? If you want to stay on your partner's back. So this is more, again, a conceptual way of thinking about the positions than it is any specific outline for how to train techniques or strategies or tactics. Just keep in mind that when you're on the bottom, you're looking to create space, create that separation. There are a lot of ways to do it. When you're on the top, you're a little more laser focused in terms of what it is that you're trying to physically, actually accomplish, right? So you've got someone who's on the top focusing more on orderly attacks. Person on the bottom, you can focus on orderly systematic attacks too, but entropy tends to be your friend when you're on the bottom of the turtle. Okay, hopefully this was helpful for you. If you have questions or comments, maybe you disagree, maybe you agree, you can put that stuff down below. It's all good, and we'll see you soon. Thanks.